Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review, we are looking at the Bandai movie realization Star Wars Darth Maul. He's one of those characters where just people either seem to love him or seem to hate him, and I was a little hesitant about this particular look for him because he's got such a cool, unique look. I was like, how are they gonna make that look cool? And then I thought maybe it doesn't look so good when I first saw it, but now that I have it in hand, I very much like it. Honestly, I think this might be the best one short of Boba Fett. So that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about, let's say 7 3/4 inches, which makes it just shy of 20 centimeters. So definitely in that bigger scale again, doesn't line up with pretty much anything but a 7-inch line of figures. So you have to be aware of that if you're getting it to go with other things. So this line has been mostly hit with some misses. Which one is this? This one's mostly a hit, I think. It's pretty good. The paint job on it is definitely clean enough. We have this kind of bronzish color down here. I guess bronze is a good way to say it. Is a dry brush going on or a wash. It's very nicely done. Same thing for his shin pads. Very, very well done. His shoulder pieces have a nice paint job on them. Very cool. And then his face is probably the most impressive part. I just love the face on this guy. Very, very well done. Very cool looking. Now, there are a couple of issues, and we're going to talk about those once we get back from talking about the accessories. So the first we have are the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package. Then we have 2 gripping hands, and then we have 2 style pose hands. Not a lot in the way of hands. We do have a face mask type thing, which just kind of snaps onto his head. Very nicely done. We do have his dual lightsaber swords, which personally, I don't like that they're a shaped sword, but also translucent like a lightsaber. I think one or the other would have been cool, but that's personal preference, so that's fine. They do connect at the bottom if you want them to. Then the last thing we can talk about as an accessory, if you really want to, is his necklace, which is just molded plastic. And it's kind of irksome just because it doesn't really hang properly. I would have much preferred on an expensive line like this to have an actual rope necklace. I think that would have been cool. This isn't a problem. It's well enough done that it's not going to stand out as being an issue, but I was just really hoping that it was going to actually be a beaded necklace. That would have been really, really cool to set this guy off, but no big deal that it's not. Okay, so here's the thing. Before we even talk about the articulation, I want to point out one thing. This guy does not come like this in the package. He comes with his arms on the other way. The upper arms, this piece right here. See how it's kind of swinging back like that? It comes with those facing forward. So what I did was I swapped out the upper arms on both sides, and so I have them facing backwards. So that's different than how you'll find it, okay? I just want to point that out, and we'll explain why as we go through. Now, as far as the articulation goes, it's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. I've heard some people really complaining about it, and I don't think those complaints are justified. You get really solid range out of the neck. It's a double ball peg. Could be a single, but I think it's a double. Really good range out of it. Out of the head anyway. The neck is a lot more limited, but you don't really need a lot out of the neck. But look at that. The head can look all over the place. And it can look down. So nice. Okay, now for the shoulders. This is the part we were just talking about. There's a ball peg that connects the entire arm to the body. Okay, so that moves around like that. Then we have our hinge, as is normal for this line. We also have a little ball peg mixed into that hinge, which connects to these guys. Now, I don't think these are particularly aesthetically pleasing. It looks very mechanical and just weird the way they connect. I don't care for that. It's not a big deal because you just turn it a little bit, and once you pose it, you're fine. But I think it would have been cool if they had like a rope or something sculpted on there other than just a big socket. But either way, there's a ball peg and that's individually hinged. But the reason I swapped these upper pieces around is because we have a ball peg down here, so it's easy to do. We have a double hinged elbow as well, so you can get really good range out of that, like way better than 90 degrees. But you only get it out of that if you're going this way. Otherwise, you're going this way, and you only get a little bit of range. So yeah, the draping cloth hides the elbow joint, but it limits the articulation a ton. So very easy. Of course, do this at your own risk. You don't want to break your figure, but I just popped out the whole arm, popped out the lower arm, swapped the 2 bicep pieces, popped it all back together. And now I have what I think is aesthetically more pleasing in that it goes backwards, and you also get much better range. So that's up to you guys if you want to do that. I think it's a big improvement. But it's also cool that they gave you a ball peg for this to move around inside that baggy sleeve. I like that. For the wrists, we have a swiveling hinge, not technically a ball hinge, but functionally the same. You have your hinge, and then it will rotate, and then you have your ball peg for the hands to connect. For the waist, just like all the other figures, it's just a big ball peg, really. His works particularly nicely. I like that. This is a floating belt piece, which is fine. It just kind of moves around. It's very stiff, but it still will move around. And then these guys have... I haven't been able to quite figure out how they're connected. I think it's just like a tab type of swivel, but these guys will move around backwards. If you want to move the leg back, you can do that. If you want to move the leg forward, these guys rotate forward. So they have pretty good range for being big and bulky, so I'm very pleased about that. Other than just being floppy, they do swing around. So that's a very nice addition. And then for the crotch, we have, well, as you can guess, your ball pegs in there. But then you have a ball peg for each hip. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Yeah, just barely. These all black figures are such a pain. But yeah, there's a ball peg in there for the hip, so it's just it's very standard socket, just like you guys have seen on all of the figures in this line, but it moves nicely. You get enough range out of it. You do have a thigh swivel on there as well. Double jointed knee, we've seen that before. And then lastly, we have a ball hinge for the ankles. However, you don't get a ton of range out of it due to the sculpt. So it doesn't go too far forward at all. It does go back, and you can rotate it around for an ankle rocker. But again, the sculpt, I don't know why they did that. They brought the foot sculpt all the way up, so you have very limited range on the ankle. So it's not a perfect figure. There are definitely some limitations, and if you don't do what I did for the arms, there's even a few more. But it's a really cool Darth Maul figure, so if you're into this line, this is definitely one of the better ones. And if you're into Darth Maul, this is a pretty cool take on him. So I definitely would recommend it. Just make sure you have that information in your head. Also, these guys are a strange hard plastic, which I guess possibly could end up breaking if you're not careful. But they don't have any ball peg or anything in there. So be aware of that. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.